when he was young. Harley, same thing. If these two young men work very hard, then Polo America is going to have some good things happen to it on the medal stand at the state tournament. And one's a sophomore and one's a freshman. So we got some good things to look forward to. These guys are honor students. They're involved in everything. I think Lance is the FFA president. But they do everything. They're football players, they're wrestlers, they're track guys. They're in all activities, and they make grades. And they're great young people. Their parents should sell, a blueprint on how to raise a kid because they're good kids. And I appreciate that. And thank you.
Polo's wrestlers, did you get any word in on the way down?
No.
Our next presenter is Albany's James Schaus. He's the man who will go to extraordinary means to line up competition for his wrestlers, particularly in adverse weather conditions. That means they need to go to Syracuse, Nebraska on a Friday night. By God, load up the bus. Albany's represented tonight by Jesse Likens and Carter Gillespie.
Thank you. Well, the bad thing about going to Syracuse, Nebraska for the Friday night tournament, we got home at I think it was about 2:30 in the morning, and then we had a 6:30 bus ride up to Bedford, Iowa the next morning for a JV tournament. So Carter Gillespie, he's not with us tonight. He's home working on a college paper. Talk a little bit about Carter. He wrestled 135 pounds for us this year. He was a two-time state qualifier. He finished tied in career wins. He finished second in career pins in Albany history. He was a great leader, both on and off the mat. A little bit vocal at times, very hard worker, constantly working to get a little bit better each and every day in the wrestling room. He was a member of the National Honor Society as well, and like Coach Johnson mentioned, the wrestlers we got, they're hard workers on and off the mat. Jesse Likens with me here tonight. He wrestled 125 pounds for us this year. He was a three-time state qualifier, three-time conference finalist, one-time conference champ. He also finished tied for the most wins in Albany history. So Jesse finished in the top 5 in just about every wrestling category we keep at Albany. He was a 3-year member to the National Honor Society. Jesse, he went to camp with us the last 2 years. This is only my 3rd year at Albany, and always went to camp, and he was always coming in on Sundays to work, coming in before school, staying late after practice. And he was kind of my middle school assistant coach. He'd stay all the way till 8:30, 2 nights a week to help with the young kids, the youth program. And I told the kids before, the high school kids, these young kids look up to you, and Jesse kind of embraced that, and is one of those, he feels natural around the kids, and they looked up to him, and it was nice to see him give back to the sport, and a sport that was able to give Jesse quite a bit of success. So.
Next presenter will be South Harrison coach Todd Pickeno. He gave us a lot of stress to spell his last name. In fact, it was so much stress that we failed to spell Maysville correctly. The next presenter also is the man, though, that's mostly responsible for keeping the wrestling program alive at South Harrison. And with that task done, he's also now trying to cultivate the program, also with a youth wrestling program that he gives a bunch of time throughout the year. South Harrison also being represented by a young man that was able to get his 100th win earlier this year and rolled on to a state medal. The presenter, Todd Picanell, All-Star, Jacob King.
Thank you. I'd like to thank KAAN for putting this deal together. I just found out about it Friday, and I thought that maybe they made a mistake and it was actually a basketball deal, but it was for real, and I was pretty excited about it. South Harrison's a basketball school, and there's not a whole lot of help there for me. I did have an assistant this year that was actually a basketball player that helped me out and got involved, and he did a really good job. But this was my 5th year. Back when I started, they were going to can the program, and I just kind of couldn't stand by and let it happen. The program's coming. I have a very young team this year. We had a bunch of freshmen, only one sophomore, and then it went up to Mr. King. And I was excited. I had 2 freshmen and that sophomore lost their bubble match to go to state. So I was pretty happy with that. And both those freshmen are new to the sport. They're not kids that have been around very long. So I was pretty excited about that. The youth program's coming up. The USA, I had a state champion this weekend down in Columbia. So I'm really excited about the way the program's progressing. Mr. King, he is a high school wrestling coach's dream for me. I've coached him all 4 years of his high school career. Never got in grade trouble. Only really got in trouble with me one time. You have to ask him about it. I'm not going to get all that. Leader, very much so a leader of the team. He was team captain sophomore, junior, and senior year. Really pushed the other guys. You know, they all looked up to him, and he did everything he had to do to be a leader of the team. Went the extra mile. He helped out with the junior high program, you know, and did all the extra things he had to do whenever, you know, we couldn't be there. Whenever we had seating meetings or whatever, he'd kind of run practice for me. And can't say enough about the kid. He's not real sure where he's headed for college yet. I know college is in his plans, just hasn't decided exactly what's going to happen with that. Jacob went to state and medaled 4th his sophomore year at 119, and he made it down there this year and brought home a 6th place medal. His career wins were 126 with 27 losses, and out of those 126 wins, 80 of them were pins. That's pretty impressive. So with that, I'd like to thank him for everything he's done for me and my program.
You know, wrestling's a program that kind of has to fight for everything they get. They have to fight for resources, sometimes fight for support, sometimes fight for coverage. And once you do sometimes get that coverage, you have to go ahead and you have to educate the guy that's trying to provide the coverage. It was only a couple years ago I figured out